we doing today, boys and girls? It's Ironwings3187 coming at you with a update regarding my Rossi 92 in 45 Colt or 45 Long Colt, depending on the nomenclature you prefer. Let's not get into that pedantic argument. Anyway, I figured I'd update y'all on what's going on because I did post that video a little while ago about what went on. My Rossi 92 and 45 Colt, the cartridge stop completely sheared off of the cartridge guide rail inside the receiver, a part that's secured by a screw because John Moses Browning. And when I called Rossi, initially I was going to send them a letter requesting the part be mailed back to me, but I thought it would be best to go ahead and call customer service first, see if maybe that'll handle it so I don't have to waste the postage. And they stated they could not send it. It's something that you have to send the rifle into their factory to get replaced, which, okay, fair enough. Maybe it's something where you think it needs to be fit and you don't want to void the warranty. It's like, if I request the part and I'm confident in my ability to place it in or potentially hand fit it, I don't know why you can't just send me the part. It'll void the warranty, but given the fact that I'm already asking for the part, it's pretty apparent I know what I'm doing, and I know how to repair or replace the part in my rifle, so just send me the part and void the warranty. Big deal. It's only good for a year anyway from Rossi. So you'll have to apologize. I just pulled off here on the way home after work. I stopped off on my way back after I dropped the rifle off at FedEx. Now, Rossi was very accommodating. Rossi is owned by Taurus and Brastek now. Was very accommodating. They did provide me with a FedEx 2-day expedited shipping label free of charge. Weren't charging me postage because I did buy this rifle brand new from the store. I did manage to haggle down the gun store because I'm good friends with the owner. I've been going to him for about 10 years now, and I got it about $200 off sticker price because he knows I'm going to come back in anyway, so might as well cut me a deal every once in a while. Anyway, back onto the part. Yes, Rossi stated that it was required they would have the rifle sent back to them. I did order a replacement part on eBay for $60 or $70, which is a bit ridiculous, but I'd rather have a backup here. That's kind of my thing, is I kind of like contingency plans, so if Rossi does somehow screw this up and give me another faulty cartridge stop and cartridge guide rail, I have a backup at home waiting just to install so I don't have to send it off back to the damn factory, which is something always good to have. So when Rossi tells me I need to send this rifle back to them for warranty service to get this part installed, I ask them, okay, so do I send this back to you in the disassembled form it's currently in? Because I do know there are some companies that, yeah, just send it however you have it, because we know it's probably with that part being broken a pain to get together again. So they tell me it's going to be an additional $25 or $30 bench fee if I send my rifle back in a disassembled state. And again, I don't blame Rossi, I don't blame Taurus for this. They were very helpful. I tried my best to have patience with this, because this is just a customer service rep. This isn't someone who knows the inner workings of the company, really. They don't understand. More often than not, in my experience, the people who work in firearm customer rep centers don't really 100% get the rifles or the firearms they're doing. They're just doing this as a job. So, anyway, what didn't make sense about that to me is this is an internal component that cannot be accessed while the rifle is in any way assembled. If you have the bolt body in, it's blocked, so you can't unscrew it and remove this piece or install it in the rifle, which means you have to pull the stock, you have to pull the lower tang, push out or punch out the pin that is holding the lever to the bolt body, remove the locking lugs and remove the bolt body, and then you're able to remove this cartridge guide and the cartridge stop. So you already have to disassemble the rifle once it gets to the factory to install this part. But if I send it to you disassembled on my own, you charge me an extra $25 fee for that. And I understand that kind of, because on one hand, you have to make sure every part's there, and if it turns out there isn't all the parts there, all the screws, bolts, whatever you need, that's a pain in the ass because you have to replace it. So I can kind of see the logic to it, but at the same time, again, I know what I'm doing, and I say that, but at the same time, I understand they have to accommodate for the lowest common denominator, because people who know these firearms are not always going to be the ones purchasing said firearms. I know how to disassemble this firearm. I know how to reassemble it. I know how to repair it. I know how to improve it, so on and so forth. I can't demonstrate it here on YouTube because, as I've stated in recent times, policy guidelines are a bitch, is what it is. So, okay, I reassemble it as best I can because there's a screw that's loosely hanging in the receiver because it's not connecting to anything. The part that it connects to, the guide rod and the cartridge stop, are out of the receiver. The spring that goes with this cartridge stop is out of the receiver as well, because I'm not going to have it free floating in the rifle's action, and then it gets there and they diagnose it as something else and I get charged for some extra action. I also had to leave out the hammer spring, which is interesting. I have a 357 Trapper model. When I reassemble and disassemble that model, I've never had an issue with reassembly outside of some little part that wound up jamming up the rifle. I think it was like a piece of screw hole inside the receiver being bent outwards somehow. No clue how that happened, but it did. So I had that one issue, and when that happened, I was able to sand and buff that part down to where the action ran smoothly again. But I never had an issue putting the lower tang with that spring back into the receiver. Keep in mind, I do kind of have early onset rheumatoid arthritis, both combination of where I work and the fact that it is genetic in my family. I had to sit there for almost an hour in my workshop trying to get this lower tang and the screw, or not the screw, the lower tang and this hammer spring into the receiver. And when I did, the hammer and trigger were locked up and the lever was locked partially open out of battery, which is usually a sign that the hammer is not engaging the sear, the sear is not engaging the trigger, and because of that, the action is locked open. There's all sorts of possibilities. So I left the spring out of it, got it back together as best I could, pinned everything back together, screwed everything back together, and sent it with a note to Rossi saying, look, I know you guys wanted to charge me a bench fee if this thing's like completely disassembled. I got it 99% of the way. All you have to do is reinstall the freaking spring for me because it is a pain in the ass to get in for some reason right now. And maybe give me the new cartridge guide and cartridge stop. And I really hope they do, because at this point, Rossi, from what I understand, has had a bad history of saying they're going to replace parts when they actually just repair them, which is a shoddy job to do. So with that, they said it's going to be about a 30-day turnaround. We'll go ahead and see how long it actually takes them to send this information to me, send me back my rifle, and I'll go ahead and update you guys with what I get back. Maybe I'll make a range video and see how many rounds it holds up to. If that rifle holds up to more than, I want to say, 100 rounds, because right now what I have spent the last few days hand loading in 45 Long Colt is not by any means a slouch cartridge. It is some pretty spicy stuff because it's the Ruger hand loads from the Lee reloading manual. And if that is the case, I'm going to probably put about 50 to 100 rounds through it in one go, see if it holds up. And if it holds up at that point, I'll say Rossi probably did a fairly decent job, well done. If they didn't, that's going to be an issue. So hopefully I didn't just get a lemon from Rossi, and if I did, I'm probably going to have to go back to the gun shop and see about getting a refund or an exchange on a different product. Thank you guys for listening. This has been Iron Wings 3187. Let's see you later.